Hello Internet, welcome back to the Experimental Cataclysm. If you don't know, this is the show where we talk about updates that have come to the experimental version of Cataclysm over the last couple of weeks. As always, there are links to all of these issues and whatnot in the description down below, as well as timestamps in case you want to jump around. There are some light spoilers this week. We did get a new scenario. And although we're going to talk about it briefly, I'm not going to give too many spoilers for that because I think that those are a rare part of something that I personally really enjoy in Cataclysm, and I don't really want to spoil a new scenario. Anyway, first and foremost, I thought we would talk about the progress that 0.E has made. It's definitely behind schedule. In fact, Kevin says right here it's about 3 months later than they had planned. It's fine. I don't think that anyone is really applying any pressure to them or is that angry about it, but it's something that is, a little later than expected. And we've currently entered content freeze, which is the main thing I wanted to talk about. Previously, we were in a feature freeze, which meant that no new features were supposed to be merged. There were some that got merged anyway. I think that was before it was like really, truly official. And now we're in a content freeze, which means there's not going to be a lot to talk about until this all resolves, because from here on moving forward, it's going to be primarily bug fixes. It's not going to get new content, new features, none of that is really going to make its way into a game. So I don't know what our show is going to be like in 2 weeks, and how long it will be before we actually get to the 0.E release. So everything is basically on hold at the moment. Still lots of pull requests coming in. There's a lot of new stuff that's being added. It's just not making it into the core game at this time. So yeah, I'm a little nervous about what that means for this show, but we'll figure that out as we go. It's not a big deal. So I wanted to give a little bit of a progress update there. It is something that's actively being worked on, but it is a little behind schedule. So our first actual issue, or pull request rather, is that Razor Claws and other mutant fish now drop mutant meat. This makes sense. We've seen movement with mutant meat over the last couple of weeks. Many of the large creatures are now mutant creatures, and now we have mutant fish as well. Pretty straightforward, pretty basic. Again, not a lot to talk about this week, and I just wanted to mention it. I recently fished in a game, didn't see any mutant fish. I don't know if they're fishable or if they only appear in sewers. I think the only place I've ever seen mutant fish has been in special locations. So I don't know how much this actually affects people, but it exists now, and it was worth mentioning. Next, we got a Dynamite... Oh, I should have said who made the last one. Anyway, Brian Otten added a Dynamite Bomb and recipe. Basically, from what I understand, this is basically a pipe bomb, but with dynamite. So it's like, you took a tank and you welded it small and closed, and then you put a dynamite stick in it, and it blows up. Which, sure. I mean, I don't really know why this was necessary. I guess if you have dynamite and you're looking for a little bit more... I mean, dynamite's pretty powerful to begin with. I guess it adds shrapnel would be the main focus of this. I don't know if you put nails in it. Metal sawing, glare protection, welder, metal tank. Yes, you do put nails in it for shrapnel, fuse, and dynamite. So pretty straightforward. Just thought I'd give it a shout out. There aren't a ton of explosives in the game, so I don't hate that this exists. I just would not have personally thought about it. It looks like it is probably auto-learned, or else they either auto-learned it or debugged it into their existence here because there's no book listed. Requires mechanics. Oh, okay. I mean, fab and mechanics makes sense, I guess. Not sure why mechanics. I don't know. Anyway, Dynamite Bomb exists now. I'm not sure what the range and whatnot on it is. Dynamite has a pretty large range. I think the first stick of dynamite I ever threw in game blew me up and killed me. That was a long time ago, though. I don't know. I haven't really played with explosives since Kevin reworked them a while back. We did just pick some up in my most recent series, and they were really underwhelming, the 40 mil grenades. So I don't know how practical dynamite and all that really is as a weapon, but I guess whatever. I'm not trying to crap on it. When I think of dynamite, I think about something that's capable of blowing down walls. I don't think of it as an offensive weapon, but the fact that this adds nails and whatnot for shrapnel implies that this is meant to be used against soft targets, not buildings. And so I just don't really get how, with a fuse and all that, I'm not sure how that works out and how practical it is to use it. So yeah, just my thoughts. I'm sure it's fine. Definitely, something you can check out in a game now. So there you go. And probably worth noting, 2-liter tanks aren't super, super common. So I don't love that. I'm guessing you can make your own tanks, but yeah, probably not something I'm going to be using very frequently. Next, mostly just threw this one in for poops and giggles. From WAP Caplet, we got the ability to craft a personal massager, let's say. Uses a tiny electric motor, auto-learned at Fab 2. Pretty straightforward, just a silly thing I saw that I would have never thought about adding to the game. Thought I'd give it a shout out. So now, if you're painfully lonely in the apocalypse, you can't find another human being, and you don't really know how to process that, and you don't have anything available for let's say, taking care of your mental health, I don't know, you can craft one yourself. Moving on. Next, from Mark Grames, we got 3 new map extras. Map extras, if you don't know, are just they're not full map gen. They're little things that appear in random places around the world. So, like previously, it was minefields. There were the body drops you've probably seen, the drug deals, the scientist corpses, the supply drops. Can't really think of anything else off the top of my head, but they're just little things that will spawn in random positions around the world. One appears to be prison bus crashes, which is fine. I assume yes, prisoner zombies as well in the area. Many prisoner zombies. Okay. So prison buses is one of those variants. What is this? A wasp nest is another variant. So that's pretty interesting. And a dermatic nest. Okay, looks like larvae and dermatics around. I would not go into either of these. It's nice to have. So when we interact with insects, usually it's like you're either in a swamp and you see one or two, or you're in a pre-spawned location like the anthill, for instance, and those tend to spawn in such density that it's like completely ridiculous to overcome that and actually go inside. It's so tedious. So I kind of like this, having a smaller generation of that and just having wasps appear in more locations around the world. And dermatics, I don't really like them very much, but I guess there's incentive. I mean, is there any incentive to looking at these? I mean, I guess it just builds the world out. Fleshes out a little bit more, makes those things appear in more locations in the world. I don't know how frequently they spawn, probably not very. Even if we go by like the most common, which is probably the body drops, is probably the most common map extra. Still don't see them that often, really. So pretty straightforward stuff, but neat and definitely something I'm happy to see added to the game. Next, we're not going to talk about this one too much because it does have a Easter egg or two in it, and I don't really want to, spoil that for anyone. But from Night, we got a new dairy farm location. It's a very low chance of spawning. We're not going to scroll down. I don't want to show the screenshots or anything. I'm not sure what all spoilers are there. But it contains some Easter eggs. It's a very small chance of spawning in the game, and once you get there, you'll probably recognize the Easter egg pretty immediately. Didn't really want to say too much about it, but it adds a little bit of incentive to going to a dairy farm because you're probably going to want to see it at least once. So let's just move on. Now, this is a change I really find interesting, also from Night. Basically, if you are wearing non-conductive gloves, that are gloves that do not contain any metal, well, I mean, I guess they would not have the conductive flag or whatever they flagged. Whatever flag they added, non-conductive flag, you will not be zapped by a shocker. So I'm going up to, let's say, a zapper zombie. They have the zap back ability, and I'm holding a metal, steel spear. Holding a steel spear, and I whack that guy. Normally, I would be shocked and take some damage through that zap back ability. But if I'm wearing gloves that do not conduct electricity, I can safely make that attack with a metal weapon, because that's not going to transfer that charge to my body because I'm holding with non-conductive gloves. So, sounds very simple. I don't know how easy it was for him to do this, but I think this is a really, really good change, and I think that it's something people are really going to like. Now, most of the time, you still don't want to go attacking a shocker in melee anyway, because most of them have some significant can cause you a lot of trouble. You really don't want to get that close to a standard shocker zombie or an incandescent husk, but if you have to, you can now safely attack them. And this really helps with zapper zombies as well. I find that in the early game I tend to use wooden weapons anyway, so most of the time I can just go up and whack the zapper zombies without any concern. But, you know, if you're a metal weapon user, this will help you go engage them because they don't have any real special abilities, so whacking them in melee is a viable option now. So definitely wanted to point this out. Next we have the new scenario, and again, normally I talk about this kind of stuff, but what I'm realizing more and more is that I really enjoy when new scenarios get added to the game. They're by far my favorite thing because, you know, as someone who's played a lot of Cataclysm, it really at the end of the day comes down to new content and exciting things in those first couple of days of playing. So I don't want to show you a bunch of pictures. We're going to just talk about it briefly. So this came from Rart Graham's. This is a scenario that adds a completely new location. It is a military base. I don't think these are really spoilers. It's a military base, and it adds a scenario called the Overrun scenario to go with it. Now, this military base is god-awful enormous, and the Overrun scenario always puts you in the same position in the base. And it's fine. It's more or less what you would expect to find. You know that there's an armory, there's a warehouse, there's administration buildings, there's all kinds of stuff set up that you would expect to see, and there is just so much monster density. I've been playing this in my free time. That should be up on the channel. I don't know what's today's date. Thursday. Probably by Saturday or Sunday, my Overrun scenario will start going up on the channel. I'll try to come back to this video and add a card so it pops up. But if you can't find it, go ahead and give that a search on the channel. It'll be up before too long, where we check out the scenario, we talk about it, and my thoughts and feelings. But honestly, broad strokes, there's just too much monster density. And I think it's completely fair. You know, being in a military base after the apocalypse, that's exactly what you would see is just hundreds and hundreds of enemies. But I'm finding that playing it is super tedious. I find myself just kiting enemies over and over to try and clear them out. There's not a lot that you can kind of sneak through. It's very, very dense with monsters, which again is fine. It's more or less what I, you know, expected. It just, I don't think is for me so much. I do think it's an interesting concept. I would like to be able to spawn in other locations in the base, although I think the position you start in is the best possible position that you could get, just because it equips you pretty well to handle all the monster density. But yeah, I just find it a little tedious. I love the idea. I love that they've added a military base that's enormous. You know, it's like a proper base as opposed to some of the small military outposts that we've had in the game before. So I really, really like that. I love that there's a new scenario being added. I don't really think it's for me so much, but you should definitely check it out if you haven't checked it out. And again, my video of this series should go up in a couple of days. So, yeah, I think it's cool conceptually. I think in execution, I mean, I don't think they did anything wrong. Again, I think this is how it had to be, but I don't know if it's for me so much. And I don't know if it's a challenge either. I don't know if it's listed as a challenge scenario, but like, it's challenging, but it's mostly challenging because of the tedium and the fact that you have to be very cautious in how you move and whatnot. But yeah, it's fine. I mean, I don't know. Definitely check it out. I don't know how to feel about it. And again, we're not going to scroll down. I don't really want to give hardcore spoilers for this scenario. So let's just move on. Okay, so we're in the forum. Basically, I could not find the pull request for the change to mods, but there was a change recently that removed mods from Cataclysm. So it's a little complicated to talk about because I don't know the exact language to use. Mods have been removed from the core installation of Cataclysm. They were not removed from your computer. You know, I've seen a lot of confusion about that. They're still on your computer. They were not deleted from your computer. They were just changed. They were obsoleted. And I've seen some confusion about what obsoleted means as well. So basically, every mod in your Cataclysm folder can either be obsolete or not obsolete. All that means is that if it is obsolete, it will no longer show up in your in-game menu. So there was a change recently where they decided, hey, it's not really our responsibility as the maintainers and contributors of Cataclysm to maintain these third-party mods, right? We don't want them to be our responsibility. We're going to release them so that people outside of our dev team will take up the role of the maintainer, and they will do the work to keep that up to date, because we want to focus on the core project of Cataclysm. We don't want to get bogged down constantly trying to update all these mods and take care of these mods. So they've changed it. They obsoleted them until other people can step up and take the role of maintainer. That's why I'm here with Irk's post in the forum. Irk basically said, hey, look, there are a bunch of mods that have been obsoleted recently. We need some people to step up if we want to keep these things up to date and maintained. There have been tons of volunteers. I saw Irk himself volunteered for one of them. I don't remember which. For the classic zombies. So I don't want you, and most of these have been taken care of as well. I was going to step up and say, hey, Dino Mod is something I'm interested in maybe maintaining. Someone has already stepped forward and said, hey, I'm going to take care of Dino Mod. So I don't know which have been claimed and which haven't. I just know Dino Mod because I was looking into that one personally. People have been stepping up and saying yes. So what does this mean for you? Well, number one, those mods are going to disappear from your in-game menus. And number two, they can be reverted. All you have to do, I should really make a separate video for this because people aren't going to look through here. Anyway, I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to show you how to get your mods to show back up in your game. Okay, so here I'm in my Cataclysm game. Let me just create a new world and we'll go over to Blacklist. You'll see all the Blacklist mods that I currently have available are classic zombies, no fungal monsters, and no monsters, and ignore the spawn test. So basically, all those, oh man, where did my no acid zombies mod go? I'm so angry, because a lot of people have been confused and angry over this change. It's only been like 2 days, so it's going to be bad in a week or two because nobody pays attention and they're just going to be angry. Anyway, so you'll see, like, okay, so no acid monsters, right? I want the no acid zombies mod. Oh no, they deleted it. Well, no, they didn't. It's still on my computer. So let me pop over to my Cataclysm directory. Okay, so navigate to your Cataclysm directory. If you don't know where that is and you use the launcher, it is in the top line of the launcher. So if you can't track that down, it's right there. Just go ahead and navigate over there. We'll go into the main directory. We'll go into data. We'll go to mods. And you'll see I have many, many mods. And what you're looking for is the mod that you are missing. So right, for me, I want the no acid zombies mod to come back. You'll see it's still here. It didn't delete these files from my computer. It just made them not appear in game anymore. So we'll go into that, and regardless of what mod it is, it doesn't matter what mod it is, you're looking for the modinfo.json. So go ahead and open that with a text editor, and you'll see something like this. And the line that we're looking for is the obsolete line. You'll see it says obsolete true, which means, hey, don't load this into the game. So what we're going to do, we're going to take true, and we're going to change that to false. All lowercase, no quotes, don't add any commas, don't do anything. Just replace the word true with the word false. We're going to go ahead and save this. We're going to close, well, we should close the whole file. And we're going to go back to the mods folder, and we're going to rename this folder because currently the game will overwrite that and change it back to being obsoleted if you update. So we're just going to rename this to something that is not whatever it already says. So we'll just do no acid zombies with no underscores or anything like this. And that will help prevent it from overwriting that change we just made when we update the game. Now, we go back to Cataclysm. I don't know if I have to refresh or not. Let's create a new world. Go over to Blacklist. I imagine, okay, go back. It does not. It does require a refresh, so you're going to have to restart your game. And we'll go to World Creation, Create World, and we'll go over to Blacklist. And you'll see it now appears the No Acid Zombie mod is back in my game. So that's all you have to do. No matter what the mod is, you're looking for the modinfo.json. Open that up in a text editor, change from obsolete true to obsolete false. Save that and rename the folder that the mod is in. So that you don't have to rename the folder, but if you don't rename the folder, you'll have to make that change every single time you update, because as of right now, the main game of Cataclysm is overwriting those files and changing that to true. Okay, so very simple fix. It's not a big deal. Now the important thing about this is that if you have a mod that no one's going to maintain, it will eventually become outdated. Now something like a blacklist is really, it'll get outdated because new acid zombies, let's say, will be added to the game and no one will add them to this file. So you'll start seeing the new acid zombies in your game, and that can be a problem. So unless someone steps up to maintain them, they are going to go out of date. Some of them, depending on what they are going to break over time. So like, well, you don't really care about how mods and things get made, but basically stuff changes in the core game of Cataclysm that affects mods, and if no one is there to fix that when it comes up, that will be a problem. So we're in the process, or they are in the process of getting people to step up and say, hey, I'll maintain this, so that if the Dino mod breaks in the future, someone will actively fix that. And so instead of being included with the core game, they're now going to be probably hosted by individuals who are taking care of them, and maintaining them and keeping them up to date. This is not as big of a change as people think it is. Again, didn't delete anything from your computer. It's totally fixable. At the moment, pretty much every mod will work. It's just over time that they'll become outdated. So it's not, I don't think it's as concerning as people are letting on. And really, this is, in my opinion, something that the community should have been doing from day one. This should not be the responsibility of the core developers. The developers are focused on making Cataclysm the best game that they can make it. They're balancing it as best they can with a particular balance in mind so that it all works together into a cohesive project. Many mods completely subvert that balance that they're looking for. So like, I don't know about Blaze mod, but like the Dino mod, right? Obviously, again, I'm using this for all my examples. The Dino mod, obviously Cataclysm is not balanced around having tons of giant dinosaurs roaming around, right? It doesn't account for, like, Cataclysm is balanced around generating food from looting and possibly farming and that kind of stuff. And then the Dino mod comes in and says, oh, by the way, here's 60 new monsters that give you hundreds of meat. And it completely destroys the balance of Cataclysm's food system, right? And so mods often break the balance of the core game. The developers should not be responsible for maintaining that. Their goal is to keep Cataclysm cohesive, not to make it work with third-party mods. Like, I've seen people saying, like, well, I can't get simplified autodock to work, or whatever, or manual bionic installation. It's like, yeah, but that's not their responsibility. They made a game where you need the autoclave and the autodock. Why should they be accountable to you wanting to not use something that they've added to the game? That's not their responsibility. Anyway, this has been a long-winded discussion, but you get what I'm saying, hopefully. I think that this is a good change. This will ultimately should be a responsibility of the community, and I've already seen a lot of people in the community step up. I saw Soup also was volunteering. There have been plenty of people volunteering because people do like these mods and they want them to be maintained. So most of the stuff that you're going to be worried about and say, oh, what about this mod? It's probably being taken care of. Most of the popular ones have people stepping up as maintainers, and that's the life of a mod. Sometimes they go away forever because people don't care about them enough to maintain them. So if you really, really want to make sure that your mod gets maintained, the best thing I can encourage you to do is to learn a little bit about modding. It's very simple, very straightforward. If you can read, you can mod Cataclysm. Very few mods use any kind, really none of them use C++ outside of like Magicalism. So, it's not like you need to code. All you really need to know is just like what we just showed you. It's this text. Oh, that's a different thing. Oh, well, I accidentally closed. Whatever. But look, it's just text. If you can read and learn what an ID is and a clip size means, then you can mod. It's really not very difficult. So I would encourage you, if you're worried about a particular mod, check it out. We have the Beginner's Guide to Modding, which I'll try to remember to link in the description down below, but I don't know if I will. And they linked my videos about how to mod, which are not very good videos, but they're out there and you can learn if you really apply yourself. Plus, go on the Discord, go on the forum. We love to answer questions about stuff like that, and there's usually someone around who can help you. So we really need to wrap because I've been rambling. Everybody, that's it for this week in the Experimental Cataclysm. I don't know what we'll be doing over the next couple of weeks. It really depends on the content freeze and how that goes. I really have no interest in talking about bug fixes. I know that they're important for the game. I know that, closing out those, like exploits and things like that are very valuable to Cataclysm, but I don't really feel like talking about those things. So I don't know if there'll be a show until after the 0.E release, and then we will definitely get an influx of new content. So for now, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Keep an eye on the channel for our Overrun series in the next couple of days. And I, of course, will be back with another episode in the near future, and I'll see you next time.